"Do not come to the wedding." Those were the exact words my daughter-in-law sent me via text message after I had paid $300,000 for the ceremony of her dreams. $300,000. I read the message once, twice, 3 times, hoping the letters would change, that it was a mistake, a sick joke. But no, Victoria, my daughter-in-law, was erasing me from the guest list, from the wedding I had paid for. Every flower, every plate, every single damn detail of that celebration came from my life savings. And she was telling me not to come. I did not cry. I did not scream. I did not call my son Daniel begging for explanations. I did something much simpler. I picked up the phone. Then I canceled everything, absolutely everything, and I watched them beg the venue, on their knees, begging to be taken back. But that comes later. Because to understand how I arrived at that moment, how a 71-year-old mother destroyed the wedding of the year and watched her own family beg for forgiveness, you need to know who I am, and how Victoria turned my life into a silent hell. My name is Margaret. I am 71 years old. I have been a widow for 15 years. And during all that time, I only had one reason to keep going: my son Daniel. When I lost my husband, Daniel was 16 years old. A massive heart attack took him in minutes. No warnings, no goodbyes, just a giant void that split us in two. I had to be mother and father, provider and shelter. I worked 2 jobs for years. Receptionist by day at a CPA firm, cleaning offices by night. I slept 4 hours, sometimes 3. But every penny I earned went straight to Daniel's education, to his future, so he could have what I never had. And it was worth it. Daniel graduated with honors. He got an excellent job at a top engineering firm. He became a responsible man, educated, successful. He was my pride, my reason for existing, until 2 years ago when he met Victoria. The first time I saw her, I thought she was perfect for him. Beautiful, elegant, with a smile that lit up any room. She came from a wealthy family. Her father, Richard, owned a chain of steakhouses. Victoria had everything: class, education, a last name that opened doors. At first, she seemed wonderful to me, but something in my gut did not sit right. Something small, almost invisible. A look when she entered my house. A tone when she spoke to me. The visits began to space out. "Mom, we are swamped with work. Victoria has a dinner with her family this weekend. You know how it is. Mom, we will come by another day when things are calmer." And when they finally came, Victoria walked through my living room as if she were in a museum of ancient artifacts. She touched my furniture with 2 fingers. She smiled with pity. "Oh, Margaret, do you still have these drapes? They are so retro. Is this sofa the same one from 20 years ago? Daniel, did you seriously grow up here? Your dad chose these paintings, right? What? Interesting taste." Every comment was a fine needle, wrapped in sweetness, in a tone that made it impossible to complain without seeming like the dramatic mother-in-law. And Daniel never said anything. He just looked away, changed the subject. He begged me in silence not to make a scene. And I obeyed, because that is what mothers do. We swallow poison with a smile. We endure humiliations disguised as jokes. We stay silent so we do not lose our children. Exactly 1 year ago, Daniel called me. His voice was trembling with emotion. "Mom, I am going to propose to Victoria." My heart leaped, happiness and terror at the same time. "Son, that is beautiful. I am so happy for you." "Thanks, Mom. You are the best. And I need to ask you a favor." There it was. I knew it before he finished the sentence. "Tell me, Daniel. I want to give Victoria the wedding she always dreamed of, but with my savings and my salary, it is not enough for what she wants. And her family is. You know, I do not want to look bad in front of them. How much do you need?" Silence. Long. Uncomfortable. Victoria found the perfect place. A private vineyard in Napa Valley. Incredible gardens. Mountain views. It is exactly what she always imagined. But the venue alone cost $250,000. And with flowers, catering, music, photographer, everything else, it would be like $300,000 in total. The air escaped my lungs. $300,000. It was everything. Absolutely everything I had saved. 15 years of double shifts, of sleepless nights, of sacrificing every little luxury to have a safety net. It was my retirement, my peace of mind, my way of not being a burden to anyone when I could no longer work. But he was my son, my only son. Okay, I will pay. Seriously, Mom? Seriously. His voice broke. He cried with happiness. You are the best mother in the universe. I will thank you for my whole life. My whole life. Victoria is going to be so happy, so excited. I hung up the phone, and something inside me whispered that I had just made a terrible mistake. But I ignored that voice, because mothers always ignore the alarms when it comes to our children. A week later, Victoria and Daniel arrived at my house with binders, catalogs, magazines, tablets full of photos. She already had everything planned, every detail, every color, every flower. Margaret, look at this place. Isn't it an absolute dream? She showed me photos of a massive vineyard, perfect gardens, stone fountains, terraces with panoramic views of the mountains. It is gorgeous, Victoria. Right? Capacity for 250 people. It has its own chapel, reception hall with a glass ceiling. It is literally the most beautiful place I have seen in my life. I nodded, I smiled. And these flowers. Imported white peonies, greenhouse roses, orchids brought directly from Thailand. The complete floral arrangement costs $22,000. But Margaret, it is worth every penny. You will see. $22,000 in flowers. I took a deep breath. Sounds beautiful. And the catering? I hired a chef with a Michelin star. 7-course tasting menu. Wines selected from private cellars. Fresh seafood. Imported beef. It is $58,000. But the food is what people remember most about a wedding. $58,000. Just on food. Sure. Victoria. And the band. Daniel. Show her the video. Daniel took out his phone. He showed me a video of a band playing at a lavish wedding. Lights. Energy. People dancing. They played at a super famous actress's wedding. They are expensive. $40,000 for 4 hours. But look how they play. It is spectacular. $40,000 for 4 hours of music. I kept nodding. I kept smiling. Victoria talked nonstop. Daniel nodded at everything like a doll. I was just there to sign checks, to make every whim a reality. No one asked me what I liked, if I wanted to give an opinion, if I had any ideas. I was just the wallet. And worst of all, what I really should have seen as a warning sign. Victoria said, almost without looking at me. Oh, Margaret, all the contracts have to be in your name, for legal and tax issues. Daniel and I prefer not to complicate ourselves with paperwork. Is that okay with you? Sure, no problem. I signed everything. Every contract, every clause, everything was in my name, and that was my salvation, although I did not know it yet. The following months were a nightmare disguised as wedding preparations. Victoria made every decision. Daniel agreed to everything, and I only existed to pay bills. But the worst part was not the money. The worst part was the exclusions. Small, constant, calculated. The first time I noticed it was with the guest list. We were sitting in a coffee shop. Victoria, Daniel, and I. She had a laptop open with an endless spreadsheet. Well, Daniel's family is like 15 people. Right? Your sister, Karen. Her kids. Some cousins. Yes, more or less. Perfect. And on my side, we are 185 guests. Extended family, close friends. Important contacts of my dad. You know how it is. I did the math mentally. 200 people in total. 15 were from our family. The rest were Victoria's. And your friends, Margaret? Do you want to invite anyone? The question sounded kind, but there was something in her tone. Well, I would like to invite Susan. She has been my best friend for 30 years. Victoria frowned. Oh, Margaret. The thing is, we are already at capacity limit, and Susan does not know anyone. She is going to feel uncomfortable. Better we invite her to a dinner after the wedding. Do you think? Daniel nodded. Yes, Mom. Better that way. more intimate. I swallowed hard. That is fine. Susan was never invited to any dinner. The second exclusion was worse. Victoria organized an outing to pick out her wedding dress. She posted photos on social media, her surrounded by her mother, her sisters, her cousins, her friends, all smiling. Glasses of champagne, white dresses hanging in the background. I found out through Instagram. I texted Daniel. Son, I saw that Victoria went to pick out her dress. I did not know it was today. Ah, yes, Mom, sorry. It is just that it was a last-minute thing. You know how women are with those things. They just wanted to go among themselves. I understand. I did not understand anything, but I said nothing, because if I complained, I would be the controlling mother-in-law, the one who does not understand boundaries, the one who ruins everything. So I swallowed the humiliation and kept paying. The third exclusion was at the banquet rehearsal. Victoria organized a tasting dinner with the chef to taste the dishes, decide the final menu. I found out 2 days later. How was the tasting, son? Ah, it was incredible, Mom. The food is going to be spectacular. I did not know it was yesterday. I would have gone. It is just that it was something quick, just to taste. Nothing important. Nothing important. $58,000 in food. But I was not important. The fourth exclusion was at the ceremony rehearsal. Daniel called me 2 hours before. Mom, the rehearsal is today at 6, at the chapel in the vineyard. Perfect. I will be there. I arrived 30 minutes early. Excited. Nervous. It was the first time I would see the complete venue. Victoria was there with her family. Her mother, her father, Richard, her sisters, all dressed elegantly, taking photos. No one greeted me. Victoria saw me and smiled. That perfect smile that I was already starting to hate. Oh, Margaret, good thing you arrived. Daniel is inside with the coordinator. I stood at the entrance, alone, while Victoria's family laughed and toasted with glasses of wine. The rehearsal lasted an hour. Victoria walked down the aisle 10 times, practicing, her father by her side, the photographer taking photos from every angle. Daniel saw me and waved, but he did not come over. When it finished, everyone went to dinner. A private restaurant, reserved by Victoria's father. Margaret, it is just for the immediate family. You know, something small. I went back to my house alone. I ordered Chinese food, and I cried in front of the television. The fifth exclusion was the most painful day. The bridal shower, a huge event, in a private hall, with luxurious decoration, expensive gifts. I saw the photos on social media. Victoria surrounded by 40 women, all dressed in white. Balloons, flowers, giant cake. Her mother giving an emotional speech. Her friends laughing. I was not invited. I asked Daniel, Son, why didn't they invite me to Victoria's bridal shower? Oh, Mom, it is just that is only for close friends. You know, young girl stuff, games, laughter. You would have been bored. But I am the groom's mother. I know, Mom. But Victoria wanted something intimate. Do not take it personally. Do not take it personally. That phrase became the mantra of my life. Every exclusion, every oversight, every slight. Do not take it personally, Mom. But it was personal, very personal. The sixth exclusion was at the makeup rehearsal. Victoria hired a famous makeup artist. For her mother, for her bridesmaids. She posted videos of the process, everyone laughing. Music, champagne. I was not invited. I did not even know there was a makeup rehearsal. When I asked Daniel, he told me, Mom, you can do your own makeup. You do not need that. I did not need that, but it would have been nice if they asked me. The seventh exclusion was the worst of all. The rehearsal dinner, a formal event, 2 nights before the wedding, at an exclusive restaurant. For the parents, the wedding party, the close family. Victoria and Daniel arrived at the restaurant with all their guests. I was seated at the table in the back, near the bathroom. Alone. Next to me were 2 empty chairs. No one sat with me all night. Victoria's father gave a 20-minute speech. He talked about his daughter, about her love for Daniel. about the family they were building. He did not mention me a single time. Victoria's mother cried with emotion. Everyone applauded. Daniel stood up and also spoke. He thanked Victoria's family, his friends, Victoria's father for accepting him. He did not mention me. Not a word. Not a thanks to my mom who made this possible. Nothing. I felt invisible. Worse than invisible. I felt erased. I went back to my house that night and sat in the dark, without turning on the lights, without eating dinner, without even crying, just sitting, in silence, thinking about everything I had sacrificed. 15 years of double shifts, of sleepless nights, of giving up everything to give Daniel the best life possible, and now he treated me like an old piece of furniture, like something that is in the way, like something that has to be hidden, so the important guests do not see it. I took my phone, I opened the calculator, and I added up everything I had spent up to that moment. $287,000. There were 3 weeks left until the wedding, and there were still pending expenses. The wedding dress that Victoria had custom made, $28,000. The custom rings, $15,000. The 5-tier cake with edible flowers dipped in gold, $12,000. We easily reached $300,000. My entire life turned into a party where I was not welcome. I closed my eyes, and something inside me broke. It was not dramatic. It was not noisy. It was silent, like when a branch snaps on the inside and still looks whole until someone touches it. I had just snapped, and no one knew it yet. 2 days later, I received a message. It was from Victoria. I opened it expecting some last-minute instruction, some detail I had forgotten to pay. But no, it was something worse, much worse. Margaret, I need to talk to you. Daniel and I talked, and we believe it is better that you do not come to the ceremony. We want an intimate day, without tensions, without awkwardness. The money you gave was a gift. We do not expect you to use it to demand being present. I hope you understand. Thanks for everything. I read the message 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. The words did not change. Victoria was uninviting me. From the wedding I paid for. From the ceremony that cost every penny I had. And the worst part, what really destroyed me, was that last line. The money you gave was a gift. We do not expect you to use it to demand being present. A gift. $300,000. 15 years of my life, my entire future. A gift. And I had no right to be there. I sat in my living room, with the phone in my hand, staring at that message. And then something changed. It was not sadness. It was not pain. It was something much colder, much more dangerous. It was absolute clarity. I opened my computer, I looked for the folder with all the contracts, and I started reading. Every clause, every bit of fine print, and then I saw it. All the contracts were in my name. I was the only person authorized to make changes, cancellations, modifications. The only one. And in that moment, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I did not reply to Victoria's message. I did not call Daniel crying. I did not make a scene. I did something much smarter. I stayed silent, and I started to plan. I opened my laptop. I took out the folder with all the contracts, and I read them one by one, slowly, carefully, every clause, every bit of fine print, every condition, and I confirmed what I already suspected. Everything was in my name. The event venue, in my name. The catering, in my name. The flowers, in my name. The band, in my name. The photographer, in my name. Absolutely everything. I was the hiring party, the signatory, the only person with legal authority to make modifications or cancellations. Victoria and Daniel did not exist on any paper. They had only chosen, spent, dreamed. But I had signed, and that meant I had the control. I started with the event venue. I called the vineyard. A woman answered with a kind voice. "Good morning. This is Jessica speaking. How can I help you? Hello? This is Margaret. I hired your venue for a wedding next Saturday." "Ah, yes. Victoria and Daniel's wedding. A beautiful event. Do you need to confirm something? I need to cancel." There was a silence. Pardon. I need to cancel the reservation. Completely. Ma'am, I understand there may be some problem, but we are less than 3 weeks from the event. We already have everything prepared. The gardens, the chapel, the staff hired. I understand, but I need to cancel. Mrs. Margaret, according to the contract you signed, there is a penalty of 40% if you cancel with less than a month's notice. That would be like $100,000 that you would lose. I do not care. Pardon. I said I do not care. Cancel everything. Jessica stuttered. But, are you sure? Did you speak with Victoria and Daniel about this? I do not need to speak with anyone. The contract is in my name. I am the one who decides. Cancel the reservation. Now, ma'am, maybe we should wait. Talk to them. This is a very big decision. There are many families involved. Jessica, who signed the contract? You did. And who has the legal authority to cancel? You do. Then cancel. Or I will do it with my lawyer and sue for breach of contract. Jessica sighed, defeated. Okay, I will process the cancellation. I will send you the document by email. Perfect. Thank you. I hung up, and I felt something strange in my chest. It was not satisfaction. It was not revenge. It was peace. For the first time in months, I felt peace. I continued with the catering. I dialed the chef's number. He answered with a French accent. Bonjour. Chef Pierre speaking. Hello, this is Margaret. I hired your services for a wedding next Saturday. Ah, oh, oui. The magnificent wedding at the vineyard. We have a spectacular menu prepared. Any last-minute changes? Yes. I am canceling everything. How? I am canceling the complete service. Madame, that is impossible. We are 3 weeks out. We already bought the ingredients. Fresh seafood, imported beef, exclusive wines. We have invested more than $30,000 in preparation. I understand, but I am canceling anyway. But it is madness. You know how much money you will lose. Yes, and I do not care. Madame, this will ruin the wedding. They are not going to get another caterer of this level in 3 weeks. It is impossible. I know. Pierre fell silent. Processing. You are doing this on purpose. I am exercising my contractual right. The contract is in my name, and I am canceling the service. This is crazy. Send me the cancellation document. Good day. I hung up. 2 contracts canceled. I continued with the flowers. The florist was an older woman. Sweet. Kind. Her name was Betty. Hello? Betty speaking. Hello, Betty. This is Margaret. I hired your floral services for a wedding. Oh, yes. The peonies, the orchids from Thailand. They arrived yesterday. They are beautiful. I am so excited to assemble that design. Betty, I need to cancel. Cancel what, honey? Everything. The complete service. She fell silent. Then I heard a sob. Mrs. Margaret, you cannot do this to me. I already paid for the flowers. $22,000. The orchids came from Thailand. The peonies from Holland. I cannot return anything. This bankrupts me. I felt a lump in my throat. But I did not back down. I am sorry, Betty. But I am canceling the service. Why? What happened? Did they fight? That does not matter. Of course it matters. Ma'am, please, think about it. It is only 3 weeks. Everything is ready. The flowers are a work of art. Victoria is going to cry with happiness when she sees them. Victoria will no longer have the opportunity to see them. Betty cried openly. Please, please do not do this to me. I have 2 employees. Families that depend on me. This job was the biggest of the year. I am very sorry, Betty. Truly. But my decision is final. I hung up. And that time it did hurt. Betty was not to blame. But I could not back down. I called the band. The manager answered with an energetic voice. Marco speaking. How can I help you? Hello. I hired your band for a wedding. I need to cancel. Cancel? When is the wedding? In 3 weeks. 3 weeks? Lady, that is impossible. We already turned down other events for that day. We have everything coordinated. The set list. The rehearsals. I understand. But I am canceling. Listen, I do not know what happened. But think it over well. We are the best band in the region. You are not going to get a replacement in 3 weeks, and certainly not of our quality. I am not looking for a replacement. What? There will be no wedding, Marcos whistled. Oof. Someone screwed up big time. Was it the groom? That is none of your business. You are right. Sorry. Well, I will send you the cancellation contract. But lady, I really hope it is worth it. It is worth it. I hung up. I continued with the photographer. His name was Mason. He had an impressive portfolio. Victoria had cried with emotion when she hired him. Hello, Mason speaking. Hello, this is Margaret. I hired your services for a wedding. Ah, yes, the one at the vineyard. Beautiful location. I already have the equipment ready. 2 cameras, drone. Assistant. It is going to look spectacular. Mason, I am canceling the service. What? Why? Personal reasons. But there are 3 weeks left. I already blocked out my whole weekend. I rejected other jobs. I am sorry. Ma'am, do you know what this means? That wedding was going to pay me $15,000. Now I have an empty weekend and huge losses. The contract specifies the cancellation conditions. Everything is in order. Mason sighed in frustration. This is insanity, but fine. Your money. Your decision. I am sending you the document. Thank you. I hung up. I had the cake left. The baker was young, enthusiastic. She had designed a 5-tier cake with edible flowers dipped in gold. Hello, Chloe speaking. Chloe, this is Margaret. The cake for the wedding. I need to cancel. Cancel? But I already started working on the sugar flowers. I have been at this for a week. I am sorry. I am canceling. Ma'am, this is my art. My passion. That cake was going to be in magazines. In my portfolio. It was the opportunity of my lifetime. I understand. But there will be no wedding. Chloe began to cry. Why? What did I do wrong? Nothing. You did nothing wrong. This is not about you. Then why are you punishing me? I am not punishing you. I am just canceling a service. I hung up before she said anything else. Because if I kept listening to her, I was going to waver. I called the chair rental service. Cancelled. I called the decoration service. Cancelled. I called the reception DJ. Cancelled. One by one. Methodically. Without hesitating. In 2 hours, Victoria and Daniel's wedding ceased to exist. $300,000 turned into smoke. But I did not regret it. Not for a second. I made myself a cup of tea. I sat in my living room. And I waited. Because I knew hell was about to break loose. And I was going to be ready. With my tea, my silence, and my dignity intact. Something Victoria could never take from me. The first call came 3 hours later. It was Daniel. I let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. On the 4th ring, I answered, "Hello, son." "Mom, what did you do?" I had never heard him scream like that. His voice trembled with panic. "What are you talking about?" "About the vineyard. They just called me. They said you canceled everything. That there is no wedding anymore." "Ah, yes. That is correct. Correct? Correct? Mom, you are crazy." I took a sip of my tea. Calm down. I am not crazy, Daniel. I just made a decision. A decision. You ruined my wedding. Why would you do something like that? Because Victoria told me not to come. That the money was a gift. That I had no right to be present. Silence. A long and uncomfortable silence. Mom, I didn't know she had told you that. You didn't know. Well, we talked about how maybe a more intimate event was better, but I didn't think she would tell you like that. So you knew. Mom, it's not what you think. What is it then, Daniel? It's just that Victoria and I wanted to avoid tensions. Her family is very important. There are influential people. And you sometimes say inappropriate things. You get nervous. We didn't want awkwardness. Something inside me froze. Awkwardness. Mom, please, don't make it bigger than it is. Daniel, I paid $300,000, and I was told not to come because I am an awkwardness. It's not that. You are misinterpreting everything. Then what is it? It's just. Look, Mom, I know you did a lot for me. I have always thanked you. But this was my wedding. Mine and Victoria's, not yours. Every word was a stab wound. You are right. It is your wedding. That is why I canceled it. That makes no sense. To me it does. If I am not welcome, then there is no wedding. Simple. Mom, there are 200 people invited. Whole families. Victoria's father invited very important people. Not my problem. Of course it is your problem. You caused it. I paid for it. I canceled it. All legal. All within my rights. This is madness. You are acting like a child. No, Daniel. I am acting like a woman who respects herself. Something you never taught me to do. What? I hung up the phone. Son, I have things to do. Mom, don't you dare. I hung up, and I turned off the phone. I finished my tea. I put on classical music, and I prepared myself for what was coming, because this was just beginning. The next morning, the doorbell rang. I looked out the window. It was Daniel and Victoria. I took a deep breath. I fixed my hair, and I opened the door. Hello. Victoria entered like a hurricane, her eyes red, makeup smeared, hair messy. How could you do this to me? Good morning. Victoria, come in. Sit down. I am not going to sit down. You ruined my life. Daniel entered behind her, pale, deep circles under his eyes. He looked destroyed. Mom, please. We have to fix this. There is nothing to fix. Victoria approached me, furious, trembling. Do you know what you did? Do you know? I canceled a wedding. Yes. I know. No. You destroyed my dream. I have been planning this for 2 years. 2 years. And you erased it in an afternoon. You should have thought about it before erasing me from the guest list. It was my wedding. I had the right to invite whoever I wanted. And I had the right not to pay for a wedding where I was not welcome. Victoria looked at me with pure hate. You are selfish. A bitter old woman who cannot stand seeing her son happy. Victoria, watch your words. Or what? Are you going to cancel something else? There is nothing left to cancel. Daniel took her by the arm. Victoria, calm down. Please. I am not going to calm down. Your mother ruined everything. She broke free from Daniel and pointed her finger at me. Do you know how many people already know? Do you know the shame I am going through? No, everyone, all my family, my dad's friends, important people, and now I have to tell them there is no wedding because my mother-in-law is crazy. I am not crazy. I just used my contractual right. Contractual right. That is what matters to you. Papers, contracts. You do not care that you destroyed your own son's life. I looked at Daniel. He was quiet, looking at the floor. Daniel, do you think I destroyed your life? He looked up, his eyes full of tears. Mom, yes, yes you did. Those words hurt me more than everything else. I understand. Victoria let out a bitter laugh. You understand? That is all you have to say. What do you want me to say, Victoria? I want you to fix this. Call the vineyard. Call the catering. Reactivate everything. No. What? I said no. Victoria stood frozen, as if she could not believe what she was hearing. You are telling me no. Exactly. But you caused this. And now I live with the consequences. Just like you. Daniel came closer. Desperate. Mom, please. I beg you. Call the vendors. Tell them it was a mistake. That there was a mix-up. We can fix it. There is still time. No. Mom. Daniel, you told me I was an awkwardness. That I said inappropriate things. That you did not want tensions at your wedding. Now there will be no tensions. Because there will be no wedding. That is not fair. Fair? You talked to me about justice. I laughed, a dry laugh. Bitter. You know that is not fair, Daniel. Working 15 years at 2 jobs, sleeping 4 hours a night, sacrificing every dream I had so you could have a better life. And now you treat me like trash. I didn't treat you like trash. No? Then what was it? The exclusions? The oversights? Sitting me alone at the rehearsal dinner? Not being invited to the bridal shower? To the dress rehearsal? To the tasting? Daniel opened his mouth. But nothing came out. You didn't have a single word for me in your speech. Not one. You talked about Victoria's family, her friends, her father. But about me, nothing. As if I did not exist. Mom, and when I finally became a problem, Victoria erased me, and you let her. Because for you, I am expendable. That is not true. Then why did you never defend me? Silence. Victoria scoffed. This is ridiculous. Daniel, let's go. Your mother is determined to ruin our lives. There is nothing we can do. Wait, Victoria. Daniel looked at me. With pleading eyes. Mom, what do you want? Tell me what you want and I will do it. Do you want an apology? I ask for your forgiveness. Do you want to be at the wedding? You are invited. Front row. Whatever. But please, fix this. I do not want anything, Daniel. There has to be something. Something that makes you change your mind. There is nothing. Victoria exploded again. Of course there is. She wants attention. She wants to be the center of everything. She is a manipulator. I looked at her steadily. Victoria, I paid every penny of your wedding, and you treated me as if I were invisible, as if I were worth nothing. And when you finally decided I was too much trouble, you discarded me, like trash. And now you come to my house to insult me, because I do not give you what you want. Because you are selfish. No, I am a woman who learned to respect herself. Something you will never understand. Victoria looked at me with so much hate I thought she would hit me. But she didn't. She just grabbed her purse and slammed the door on her way out. Daniel stood there, looking at me. Mom, please, go, Daniel. I can't leave like this. Yes, you can. And you will. His eyes filled with tears. I hate you. Those 3 words pierced my heart, but I did not move. I know. Daniel left and closed the door. I stayed alone in my living room, in silence, and for the first time in months, I did not cry. Because I had finally done something for myself, and that was worth more than any wedding. The next 3 days were absolute silence. Daniel did not call. He did not write. He did not appear. Victoria neither. It was as if I had ceased to exist for them, as if after canceling the wedding, I had also canceled myself from their lives. And, strangely, it did not hurt as much as I thought it would hurt. In fact, I felt something similar to liberation. Like when you take off a shoe that has been pinching you all day, and finally you can breathe. I spent those days in my house, cleaning closets I hadn't touched in years, reorganizing old photos, cooking recipes I had forgotten, little things that made me feel alive again. My friend Susan called me on the 2nd day. Margaret, I just found out. Daniel told his cousin Karen, and she called me. It is true that you canceled the wedding. Yes, Susan, it is true. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Tell me everything. And don't skip any detail, I told her. From Victoria's first passive-aggressive comment to the final message where they uninvited me, from the exclusions to the humiliations. From the moment I decided to cancel everything to the confrontation in my living room. When I finished, Susan sighed deeply. Margaret, you know what? You did the right thing. I know it hurts. I know he is your son. But you did the right thing. You think? Completely. That girl treated you like trash. And your son let her. That is not right. And someone had to put a stop to them. If you didn't do it, no one was going to do it. Daniel told me he hates me. Daniel is angry, scared, embarrassed. But eventually, he is going to understand. And if he doesn't understand, well then he doesn't deserve the sacrifice you made for him all these years. Susan's words comforted me. But they also scared me. Because they meant that maybe I had lost my son forever. On the 4th day, the doorbell rang at 10 in the morning. I looked out the window expecting to see Daniel again. But it wasn't him. It was Richard, Victoria's father. A tall, elegant man, about 60 years old, dressed in an expensive suit and a watch that probably cost more than my car. I opened the door cautiously. Good morning, Margaret. Sorry to come without warning. Can we talk? His tone was kind. Too kind. The tone businessmen use when they want something from you. Come in. Richard entered and sat on my sofa. He looked around my living room with that same expression Victoria always had, assessing, judging, finding everything inferior. Do you want coffee? Tea? No, thank you. I came to talk about something important, and I don't want to take up much of your time. I sat across from him, waiting. Margaret, I know what happened. Victoria told me everything. And I understand that you are upset. I truly understand. My daughter can be intense, demanding. Sometimes she says things without thinking. She is young. She still needs to mature in many things. I nodded but said nothing. And I know you paid a considerable sum for this wedding. $300,000 is not a minor thing. It is a huge sacrifice. And Victoria should have treated you with more respect. I acknowledge that. Where are you going with this, Richard? He smiled. That smile of a man used to getting what he wants. I want to fix this. For everyone's sake. For Daniel. For Victoria. For you too. No one wins with this situation. Everyone loses. And how do you propose fixing it? Simple. You reactivate the contracts. Call the vendors. Tell them there was a family confusion. That everything is resolved. And I compensate you for the trouble. Compensate me? Yes. I understand you felt left out. Belittled. And that wasn't right. So I propose the following. You reactivate the wedding. And I pay you half of the expenses. $150,000. That way you recover part of your investment, and we all remain at peace. I stared at him, processing what he had just said. Are you offering me money to reactivate the wedding? Exactly. It is a fair solution. You recover money. Victoria has her wedding. Daniel is happy. And I rest easy knowing my daughter will have the day she always dreamed of. Everyone wins. Everyone except me. What do you mean, everyone except you? I just offered you $150,000. That is not a small thing, Margaret. It is not about the money, Richard. Then, why is it? Tell me. What do you want? Do you want a public apology from Victoria? Do you want a special place in the ceremony? Do you want to be mentioned in the speeches? Tell me what you need and I will make sure it happens. I do not want any of that. Then, what? Because frankly, Margaret, I do not understand what you are looking for with all this. Revenge? Attention? What? His tone changed. It was no longer kind. Now there was irritation, impatience. I seek respect, Richard. Something that neither you nor your family seem to understand. Respect? I am offering you $150,000. That is respect. That is recognizing your effort. What more do you want? I want Victoria to ask for my forgiveness, truly. Not because you asked her to, not because she needs something from me, but because she genuinely understands that she treated me badly. Richard leaned back on the sofa, crossed his legs, sighed. Margaret, I am going to be honest with you. Victoria is not going to do that. She is proud, stubborn, just like her mother. If you expect her to come here crying and begging forgiveness, it is not going to happen. It is simply not her personality. But that doesn't mean you can't be the bigger person here. The person who forgives. The one who takes the first step. I do not have to take any step, Richard. I did nothing wrong. You canceled a wedding with 200 people invited. You ruined months of planning. You embarrassed my family in front of very important people. And now you refuse to fix it out of pride. That is not right. Margaret, pride? Are you talking to me about pride? Victoria erased me from her wedding after I paid every penny. She treated me like trash for months. And Daniel let her. But the problem is my pride. The problem is that you are using an emotional situation to make irrational decisions. And that affects a lot of people. Not just Victoria, not just Daniel. There are entire families that already bought plane tickets, who booked hotels, who asked for time off work, and all that went to hell because of your tantrum. That word hit me like a bucket of cold water. Tantrum. Yes, Margaret, a tantrum. Because that is what it was. You got angry, and instead of talking about it like adults, you decided to destroy everything. That is immature, childish. And frankly, I expected more from a woman your age. I got up from the armchair, trembling with rage. I think it is time for you to leave, Richard. Wait. We are not done talking yet. Yes, we are done. Get out of my house. Margaret, do not be stubborn. I am trying to help you. To find a solution. But if you continue with this attitude, you are going to lose your son forever. Is that what you want? What I want is for you to get out of my house. Now. Richard stood up slowly. He looked at me with contempt. You know what, Margaret? Victoria was right about you. You are a bitter woman, resentful, who cannot stand seeing her son happy with someone else. And now you are sabotaging his happiness out of pure selfishness. Get out of my house. I am leaving. But I want you to know something. This is not going to stay like this. I am going to talk to my lawyers. I am going to see if there is any legal way to reverse the cancellations. And if I find one, you are going to pay for every penny of damage you caused. Every single penny. Go ahead. Talk to whoever you want. All the contracts are in order. Signed by me. With perfectly legal cancellation clauses. You have nothing to do. Richard walked towards the door. But before leaving, he turned around. Victoria would have given Daniel an incredible life. Connections. Opportunities. A brilliant future. But you ruined it. And when your son is alone, when he realizes everything he lost because of you, he is going to come here. And he is going to tell you to your face how much he hates you. And you are going to have to live with that the rest of your life. He slammed the door. I stood in the middle of my living room, breathing deep, trying not to cry. But Richard's words stuck in my mind like thorns. What if he was right? What if Daniel never forgave me? What if I had just destroyed the only relationship that mattered to me in this world? That night I could not sleep. Richard's words spun in my head like a broken record. Over and over again, non-stop. You are going to lose your son forever. You are a bitter woman. You cannot stand seeing him happy with someone else. I got up at 3 inches the morning. I made chamomile tea. I sat in the kitchen looking at the darkness through the window. And for the first time since I canceled everything, I doubted. Had I done the right thing? Or was I really a selfish mother who could not let go of her son? Was this self-love, or was it revenge in disguise? I had no answers. I only had a massive silence and a hole in my chest that hurt more every hour. Susan arrived at my house the next day without warning. She rang the doorbell insistently until I opened. Margaret, you look terrible. When was the last time you slept? I don't know. Yesterday. The day before. I don't remember. Oh, friend. Come. Sit. She led me to the sofa as if I were a child. She made me coffee. She sat beside me and took my hand. Tell me what happened. I told her about Richard's visit, his threats, his words, everything. When I finished, Susan shook her head. That man is a manipulator. Just like his daughter. They came to buy you. And when they couldn't, they attacked you. That is their strategy. Make you feel guilty for something they provoked. And if he is right, Susan, and if I lose Daniel forever, then you lose him. But not because you pushed him away, but because he chose a woman who despises you over the mother who sacrificed everything for him. And if that is his choice, then maybe he does not deserve the love you gave him. He is my son. My only son. I know, honey. I know. But you are also a person, with dignity, with worth, and no one has the right to trample you. Not even your own son. Susan stayed with me the rest of the day. We cooked together. We watched old movies. We talked about everything except the wedding. And for the first time in days, I felt a little better. But that peace did not last long. 2 days later, the doorbell rang again, this time at 7 in the evening. I looked out the window and saw Daniel. Alone. Without Victoria. He looked destroyed. Deep circles under his eyes. Unshaven beard. Wrinkled clothes. I opened the door. Hello, Mom. His voice was small. Broken. Hello, Daniel. Can I come in? I stepped aside. He entered slowly, as if he were afraid I would kick him out. He sat on the sofa. I sat across from him. The silence between us was so dense you could almost touch it. Mom, I don't even know where to start. Start wherever you want. Daniel took a deep breath. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. The last time I came, I said horrible things to you. I told you I hated you, and I didn't mean it. I was angry, scared, confused. But it wasn't true. I have never hated you. You are my mother. You are the most important person in my life. But what? There is a but there. I can hear it. Daniel looked down. But I don't understand why you did what you did. I don't understand how you could cancel everything. Destroy something that was so important to me. To us. To you two? Or just to Victoria? For both of us. Mom, it was our wedding. Our future. And you erased it as if it meant nothing. Daniel, you read the message Victoria sent me. Yes. And I know it was wrong. I know. She apologized to me. She told me she was stressed, that she didn't measure her words, that she didn't mean things that way. But she said them. Yes, she said them. And it was wrong. But Mom, we all make mistakes. We all say things we shouldn't when we are under pressure. That doesn't mean you should destroy an entire wedding over a poorly worded message. It wasn't just the message, Daniel. It was months of exclusions, of humiliations, of being treated as if I didn't exist. The message was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Mom, I know Victoria didn't include you in some things. And I am sorry. I am truly sorry. But she was excited. She wanted to make everything perfect. Sometimes she got carried away by her family, by her friends. It wasn't personal against you. It wasn't personal. Daniel, I sat alone at the rehearsal dinner. No one sat with me. Not you. Not Victoria. Not anyone. I was there like a piece of furniture, like something that has to be tolerated, but no one wants near. I didn't realize, Mom. I swear, there were so many people, so much noise. I was trying to talk to everyone. I didn't see that you were alone. Exactly. You didn't see. Because you were not looking for me. Because for you I was no longer important. That is not true. Then why didn't you mention me in your speech? You talked about Victoria's family. Her friends, her father, but about me, nothing. As if I didn't exist, as if I hadn't sacrificed 15 years of my life so you could get here. Daniel fell silent. Tears began to roll down his cheeks. You are right. I didn't mention you. And I should have. I should have thanked you. I should have told everyone that without you I would be nothing. But Mom, I was nervous, excited. I wasn't thinking clearly. It was a mistake. A horrible mistake. But I didn't do it with bad intentions. I know, Daniel. I know you didn't do it with bad intentions. But it hurts just the same. It hurts to know that your own son forgot you in the most important moment of his life. I didn't forget you, Mom. I would never forget you. You are my mother. You are all I have. Then why did you let Victoria treat me like that? Why did you never defend me? Not a single time. Every passive-aggressive comment, every exclusion, every humiliation. And you there, quiet, looking the other way. Daniel covered his face with his hands. Because I am a coward. Because I was afraid that if I defended you, Victoria would get mad at me. She would think I wasn't on her side. And I wanted to keep the peace. I wanted everyone to be happy. But I ended up betraying you. The person I love most in this world. And I don't know how to live with that. His words broke my heart. Because they were honest, painful, real. Daniel, I didn't want to destroy your wedding to hurt you. I did it because I needed you to understand something. That you cannot buy my love. That you cannot treat me like trash and expect me to still be there smiling. That I have dignity. And that dignity is worth more than any wedding. I understand, Mom. I understand now. But it is too late. There is no wedding anymore. There is nothing anymore. Victoria is devastated. Her family hates me. And I lost everything. And me? I also lost everything. Daniel looked at me confused. What? I lost $300,000. I lost my son's respect. I lost months of peace of mind. And I probably lost you too. So tell me, Daniel, who really lost everything here? He did not answer. He only cried. And I cried with him. Because despite everything, despite the pain, the anger, the betrayal, you were still my son, and I was still your mother. Mom, is there any way to fix this? Something I can do? Because I can't lose you. I can't live knowing I hurt you so much. That I destroyed our relationship for someone who didn't even really value me. What do you mean by that? Daniel wiped his tears, took a deep breath. Victoria broke up with me. The world stopped. What? 2 days ago, she told me she couldn't be with someone whose family was so problematic, that her father was right, that I came from a very different place than her, and that it was better to end it now before it got more complicated. Daniel left me. Mom, after everything, after 2 years, after planning everything, she left me because your action embarrassed her in front of her family, and she realized I wasn't enough for her, that I never was. My heart broke for my son, not for the wedding, not for the money, but because he was suffering, because he finally saw the truth I had seen from the beginning. I am so sorry, son. Don't be sorry. You were right. You were always right. Victoria never really loved me. She only loved the idea of me, the version of me that fit into her perfect world. And when that broke, I ceased to be useful to her. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It hurts a lot. But you know what hurts more. Mom, knowing I lost the only person who truly loved me unconditionally, you. And I don't know if one day you will be able to forgive me. I got up from the couch. I sat next to him, and I hugged him, like when he was a child, like when he had nightmares, like when the world was too big and I was his only shelter. I already forgave you, Daniel, because you are my son, and you always will be. He cried in my arms, and I cried with him, and in that moment, I knew I had done the right thing. Because sometimes true love is not pleasing, it is not yielding, it is not sacrificing yourself until you disappear. Sometimes true love is saying no. It is setting boundaries. It is teaching that you matter too. And finally, Daniel understood it. Daniel stayed at my house that night. We didn't talk much more. It wasn't necessary. Some things are understood better in silence. I made his favorite dish, roast chicken with potatoes, the same recipe I made when he was a child and came home sad from school. We ate together at the kitchen table. No television, no phones, just the two of us. Like before, like when it was just him and me against the world. Mom, can I ask you something? Sure. Did you ever doubt? Did you think about not canceling everything? I thought before answering. Yes, many times. Especially after talking to your son. After Richard came to threaten me, I doubted a lot. I asked myself if I was being selfish, if I was destroying your happiness out of pride. And what made you keep going? Victoria's message. Every time I reread it, every time I saw those words, the money you gave was a gift. We do not expect you to use it to demand being present. Those words reminded me that for them, I was not a person. I was a transaction, a means to get what they wanted. And I decided I preferred to lose everything rather than continue being treated like that. Daniel nodded slowly. That makes sense. And the worst part is I allowed it. I saw how they treated you and did nothing, because it was easier to ignore it than to face it. You are not the first nor the last son who chooses his partner over his mother. It is natural. It is part of growing up. But there is a difference between choosing your partner and allowing them to turn you into an accomplice of emotional abuse. You think that was it? Emotional abuse. Yes, Daniel, that was it. Little humiliations disguised as jokes, exclusions justified with vague excuses, passive-aggressive comments wrapped in smiles. That is the worst type of abuse, because it is so subtle that when you try to point it out, it seems like you are the problem, that you are too sensitive, too dramatic. Daniel put the fork down on the plate. God, Mom, how much damage we did to you. How much damage I did to you. It's over, son. The important thing is that you see it now, and that you never allow someone to turn you into that person again. I won't. I promise you. We finished dinner. We washed the dishes together, and for the first time in months, my house felt like a home again. Daniel fell asleep on the sofa. I covered him with a blanket, and I stayed watching him for a moment. My son, my only son, in my house again, safe again. Maybe I had lost $300,000, but I had recovered something much more valuable. I had recovered my son, and I had recovered myself. The next morning, Daniel woke up early. I heard him moving in the kitchen. When I came down, he had already made coffee. Good morning, Mom. Good morning. You didn't have to make coffee. I wanted to do it. It is the least I can do after everything. We sat down to have breakfast. Daniel seemed calmer, as if a huge burden had been lifted from his shoulders. Mom, I need to ask you something important. Tell me, do you think I am like Dad? The question caught me off guard. Why do you ask that? Because Dad always took care of you. He always defended you. He always made you feel important. And I did exactly the opposite. I neglected you. I didn't defend you. I made you feel invisible. So, I wonder if I really learned anything from him, or if he just wasted his time trying to teach me to be a good man. My eyes filled with tears. Daniel, your father made mistakes too. He wasn't perfect, but you know what made him a good man, that when he realized he had done something wrong, he acknowledged it. He apologized, and he changed. You are doing exactly that now. So yes, you are like your father. Because you are learning, you are growing, and that is the only thing that matters. Daniel smiled, a small but genuine smile. Thanks, Mom. After breakfast, Daniel received a call. He looked at the screen and his expression changed. It is Victoria. Are you going to answer? I don't know. Part of me wants to know what she has to say, but another part just wants to block her and move on. Answer. You need that closure. Daniel hesitated, but finally he answered. Hello, Victoria. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but by Daniel's expression, it was nothing good. No, Victoria. I already told you I am not going to ask my mom that. Silence. I do not care what your father says. I am not going to pressure her to reactivate something she decided to cancel. More silence. You know what, Victoria? You are right. We are very different. And I am glad I realized it now and not after marrying us. The voice on the other end rose in volume. Even I could hear the shouting. Are you done? Perfect. Because I also have something to tell you. I spent 2 years trying to be enough for you, trying to fit into your world, changing who I was to please you. And it was never enough. There was always something wrong. My clothes, my job, my family, especially my family. And you know what I realized? That the problem was never me. It was you. And your need to control everything. That everything be perfect according to your impossible standards. Victoria shouted something else. No, I am done listening to you. And I am done allowing you to make me feel less. Goodbye, Victoria. He hung up. His hands were trembling, but there was determination in his eyes. Are you okay? Yes. More than okay. I feel free. What did she want? For me to convince you to reactivate everything. To tell her I found a way to fix it. To basically save her from the disaster she herself caused. Like always. And what did you tell her? No. That for the first time in 2 years, the answer was no, and it felt incredible. Mom. Incredible. I smiled. Proud. Well done, son. That afternoon, Susan came to visit me again. When she saw Daniel, her expression was one of surprise. Daniel, I didn't know you were here. Hello, Susan. Yes, I am here. And I want to apologize to you. To me? Why? Because my mom wanted to invite you to the wedding, and Victoria said no, and I did nothing to defend her. I treated you as if you were not important, when you have been my mom's best friend for decades. And that was wrong. Very wrong. Susan looked at him surprised. Then she smiled. Well, young man, that is the most honest apology I have received in years, and I accept it. But on one condition. Which one? That you never again allow someone to make you treat your mother badly, because this woman sacrificed everything for you, and she deserves to be treated like the queen she is. I promise, Susan, never again. The 3 of us sat in the living room. We drank coffee. We talked about simple things. We laughed for the first time in months. And I realized something important. Family is not always blood. Sometimes it is the people you choose. The people who stay. The people who defend you when everyone else abandons you. And I had that family. Small, imperfect, but real. That night, after Susan left and Daniel fell asleep again on the sofa, I sat alone in my room. I opened my laptop, and I looked for Victoria's message. That message that changed everything. I read it one last time, and then I deleted it. Not because I had forgiven her, but because I no longer needed that reminder of why I had done what I did. I knew why I had done it, because I respected myself, because I understood that self-love is not selfishness, because I learned that saying no is as important as saying yes, and because I finally understood something that took me 71 years to learn, that you can love someone with all your heart. You can sacrifice yourself for them. You can give them everything you have. But if in that process you lose yourself, then it is not love. It is self-destruction. And I decided to choose me. For the first time in my life, I chose me. And that didn't make me a bad mother. It made me a complete woman. I closed the laptop. I turned off the light. And I slept deeply, without nightmares, without guilt, without doubts. Just peace. The following weeks were strange. Strange, but necessary. Daniel went back to his apartment. But this time it was different. He came to visit me 3 times a week. He called me every day. Not because he felt obligated, but because he really wanted to do it. We went for walks in the park. We went to the movies. We cooked together on Sundays. Simple things. Things we had stopped doing when Victoria entered our lives. And slowly, we recovered what we had lost. That connection. That closeness. That trust. One day, while we were making lasagna in my kitchen, Daniel asked me something I didn't expect. "Mom, do you ever regret canceling the wedding?" I stopped. I thought carefully about my answer. Sometimes I wonder how things would have been if I hadn't done it. If I had swallowed my pride. If I had gone to that wedding and pretended everything was fine. Maybe you would be married now. Maybe you would be happy. Or maybe not. Maybe you would be trapped in a marriage where your wife does not respect your family, where you would have to choose constantly between her and me, where you would end up resentful towards both. So no, I do not regret it, because I believe I saved you from something much worse than a canceled wedding. Daniel stopped chopping the onions. He looked at me with bright eyes. I think so too. And you know what, Mom? I have been thinking a lot about this, about everything that happened, and I realized something important. What? That Victoria never loved me for who I am. She loved me for who she wanted me to be. And I was so desperate to be loved that I started to become that person. I stopped being myself. I left my hobbies, my friends, my family, everything, just to fit into her perfect world. And that is not love, it is control. And how do you feel now? Confused, sad, but also relieved. As if a huge weight had been taken off me. I no longer have to pretend. I no longer have to walk on eggshells. I no longer have to worry about if I say something that embarrasses Victoria in front of her family. I can be me again. That is the best gift you could receive, son. The freedom to be yourself. Daniel smiled. And we kept cooking. 2 weeks later, something unexpected happened. I received an email. From the vineyard. From Jessica, the coordinator I had spoken with when I canceled everything. The subject said, "Something you should know." I opened it with curiosity. "Dear Margaret, I hope this email finds you well. I know what happened with the wedding cancellation was difficult for everyone, and I know maybe you don't want to know anything more about this topic, but I felt you should know something. 2 days after you canceled, Victoria came to the vineyard, with her father, demanding that we reactivate everything. They offered to pay double, triple, whatever was necessary, but I explained to them that legally we could not do anything without your authorization. The contract was in your name. Only you could make decisions. Victoria became hysterical. She screamed. She cried. She threatened to sue us. Her father tried to bribe me personally. He offered me $50,000 if I found a way to reactivate the wedding without your consent. Obviously, I refused. Not only because it is illegal, but because after talking to you on the phone, I understood there was something deeper behind your decision. And I was right. I have worked in this industry for 15 years. I have seen all kinds of families, all kinds of drama, but I had never seen a bride who despised the groom's mother so much. The way Victoria talked about you was horrible. She called you a bitter old woman, meddlesome. She said you ruined her life out of envy, that you couldn't stand seeing her happy, and her father supported her in every insult. But the saddest thing was seeing Daniel standing there, in silence, without defending you, without saying anything. That broke my heart. because I could see he was a good man, but he was completely controlled by her. Eventually, I had to call security to make them leave, and Victoria swore she would ruin my business, that she would leave horrible reviews everywhere, that no one would work with me again. But you know what, Margaret? I didn't care, because you did something brave, something many women do not dare to do. You defended yourself, you set boundaries, and that is admirable. I just wanted you to know that you made the right decision, and that I support you completely, with affection. Jessica. I read the email 3 times. Each time I felt more validated in my decision. Victoria had gone all the way there. She had begged. She had offered bribes. She had insulted, all to get back her perfect wedding. But she had never come to me. She had never asked for forgiveness. She had never acknowledged that she treated me badly, because for her, I was still the problem. Not her behavior, not her lack of respect, me. I showed the email to Daniel that afternoon when he came to visit me. His expression changed while he read it, from surprise to shame to rage. I can't believe she did that. You are surprised. Yes. No. I don't know. I knew she was desperate, but I didn't think she would go that far. And the worst part is, I was there. I saw all this, and I did nothing. It's over, Daniel. No, Mom. It is not over. Because you need to know something. Something I should have told you weeks ago, but I was afraid. What? That day at the vineyard? When Victoria was screaming, when she was insulting you, when her father tried to bribe Jessica, there was a moment where something inside me clicked. I saw Victoria from the outside, as if she were another person, and I realized I was looking at someone horrible, someone cruel, someone capable of destroying anyone who got in her way, and I got scared. Because that was the woman I was going to marry. That was the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And I knew in that moment that if the wedding had taken place, I would have been miserable. Completely miserable. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I was ashamed. Ashamed of having been so blind, of having defended someone like that, of having betrayed you for her. But I can't be silent anymore. You need to know that your decision not only saved you, it saved me too. I hugged him, and he cried in my arms again. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for loving me enough to stop me from making the worst mistake of my life. I am always going to protect you, son, even when that means protecting you from yourself. A week later, I received another surprise. Betty, the florist, called me. Margaret, this is Betty, the flower lady. Hello, Betty. How are you? Better. Much better. I am calling because I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you a while ago. What is it? When you canceled the flowers, I got very angry with you. I thought you had been cruel, selfish, that you had ruined me without caring about the consequences. But a few days ago, Victoria came to my shop. She wanted me to sell her the flowers I had already bought for her wedding, the same flowers, at the original price. I explained to her that I no longer had the orchids, that they had withered, that I had sold them to other customers. And she exploded. She screamed at me. She insulted me. She said I was an idiot for having wasted such expensive flowers, that I should have kept them because obviously she was going to come back. And there I understood everything. I understood why you canceled. Because no one deserves to be treated like that, and certainly not the person who is paying for everything. So I want to apologize to you, and thank you, because you taught me something important. That sometimes defending your dignity is more important than any business. I was left speechless. Betty, thank you. You have no idea how much that means to me. No, Margaret, thank you, for reminding me that respect is more important than money. We hung up, and for the first time in weeks, I felt completely at peace, because I had not only defended my dignity, I had inspired others to defend theirs. That night, Daniel, Susan, and I had dinner together at my house. We made tacos. We drank cheap wine. We laughed until our stomachs hurt. And at some point in the night, while I watched them talk and laugh, I realized something. This was happiness, not a $300,000 wedding, not a designer dress, not flowers imported from Thailand. This, people who love you, who respect you, who value you. This was all I ever needed. and I had never seen it with such clarity until now. Mom, what are you thinking about? That I am very lucky. Lucky? You lost $300,000. Yes, but I gained something much more valuable. I won myself. And I got you guys back. Daniel raised his glass. To Mom, the bravest woman I know. Susan raised hers. To Margaret, who taught us that it is never too late to defend yourself. And I raised mine. To family, the real one, the one you choose, the one that stays. We toasted, and in that moment I knew everything had been worth it. Every penny, every tear, every moment of doubt. Because in the end, it was not about the money. It was about reclaiming my power, and that is priceless. 3 months passed since I canceled the wedding. 3 months that changed my life in ways I never imagined. Daniel found a new apartment, smaller than the previous one, more modest, but it was his. Without Victoria's influence, without painful memories, just him. And something curious happened. Without Victoria controlling every aspect of his life, Daniel began to bloom. He picked up his hobbies. He went back to playing guitar on weekends. He reconnected with friends he had abandoned. He started therapy. Mom, my therapist says I was in a toxic relationship for 2 years and didn't realize it, that Victoria showed clear signs of manipulation, of control, and that I developed codependency patterns to keep her happy. How does that make you feel? Liberated, and also stupid. How did I not see it before? The signs were there. You saw them. Susan saw them. Everyone but me. Don't blame yourself, son. Love blinds us. Especially when it comes wrapped in promises of perfect happiness. But it wasn't love. Mom, that is what I am learning. Love does not make you feel less. It does not isolate you from your family. It does not turn you into someone you don't recognize. That is not love. It is manipulation. I am glad you understand it now. Me too. And you know what else my therapist told me? That what you did was an act of radical love. That canceling that wedding was your way of telling me enough, of shaking me, of forcing me to see what I didn't want to see. And she was right. If that wedding had taken place, I would be trapped now. Miserable. Probably not speaking to you. Choosing Victoria over you again and again until nothing was left of our relationship. His words filled my eyes with tears. I just wanted you to be happy. I know. And now I am. I really am. For the first time in years, I am happy. And he was. I could see it in his eyes, in his smile, in the way he walked, as if a giant weight had been lifted from his shoulders. One day, while we were having coffee in my kitchen, Daniel received a message. His expression darkened. It is Victoria. What does she want now? She says she needs to talk to me, that she is remorseful, that she made mistakes, that she wants a second chance. And what do you want? Daniel left the phone on the table. 3 months ago, I would have jumped for joy. I would have run to her. I would have forgiven her everything. But now, looking at that message, I only feel indifference. Not anger, not sadness, just nothing. And that tells me everything I need to know. Are you going to answer? Yes, but not what she expects. I watched him write. His fingers moved fast over the screen. Done. I told her I wish her the best, that I hope she finds the happiness she seeks, but that happiness is not going to be with me, and to please not contact me again. How do you feel? At peace. Completely at peace. And I am blocking her number. 2 weeks later, something wonderful happened. Susan organized a surprise dinner at my house. She invited old friends I hadn't seen in years, women I had met at my jobs, co-workers from the time I cleaned offices, receptionists I shared lunch with. They all came, with wine, with food, with laughter, and we spent the night remembering old times, telling stories, laughing until we cried. At some point, one of them, Karen, my late husband's sister, raised her glass. I want to make a toast to Margaret, who taught us that it is never too late to defend yourself, who showed us that self-respect is worth more than any wedding, and who reminded us that women do not have to put up with crumbs of love when we deserve the full banquet. Everyone applauded, everyone toasted, and I cried, but this time with happiness. Thanks, girls. You don't know how much I needed this. We needed it too. because your story inspired us all. To set boundaries, to not accept less than what we deserve, to remember that our value does not depend on how much we endure, but on how much we respect ourselves. That night, after everyone left, I stayed sitting in my living room, looking at the photos we had taken, the smiling faces, the hugs, the pure joy. And I realized that I had built something beautiful from the ashes of that canceled wedding. I had built a community, a circle of women who supported each other, who lifted each other up, and that was worth much more than any ceremony at a vineyard. A month later, Daniel arrived at my house with news. "Mom, they offered me a promotion at work." "Son, that is wonderful." "Yes, but there is something else. It comes with relocation to another city. 3 hours from here." My heart squeezed. "Oh, but I am not going to accept it." "What? Why not?" "Because I don't want to move away from you. We already lost a lot of time. I don't want to lose more." "Daniel, no. You have to accept it. It is your career, your future. But you are my family, and I always will be. Whether 3 minutes away or 3 hours, distance does not change that. Accept the promotion. Build your life. I am going to be fine." "Are you sure?" "Exactly sure. What's more, I am proud. Very proud." Daniel hugged me tight. "I am going to visit you every 2 weeks, and you are going to come stay with me 1 weekend a month. And we are going to talk every day. I promise you." "I know, son. And it's okay. It is time for you to fly. Really fly." And he flew. Daniel accepted the promotion. He moved to the new city. And just as he promised, we stayed in constant contact. The first weeks were difficult. The house felt too empty, too quiet. But slowly, I learned to enjoy my solitude, to see it as an opportunity instead of a punishment. I enrolled in painting classes, something I always wanted to do, but never had time. I joined a book club with Susan and other women. I started to travel. Small trips, weekends at the beach, a week in the mountains. And I discovered something wonderful, that life does not end at 71, that there are still adventures to live, dreams to fulfill, versions of myself to discover. 6 months after canceling the wedding, I found myself sitting in my living room with a cup of tea, looking out the window. And I asked myself a question. Do I regret it? I closed my eyes. I thought about everything, about the $300,000, about the tears, about the pain, about the confrontation. But I also thought about what I gained. I gained my dignity. I gained my self-respect. I gained my son back. I gained a community of incredible women. I gained the freedom to be myself again. And the answer was clear. No, I regretted nothing. Because sometimes in life, you have to lose something big to gain something bigger. And I lost a wedding, but I gained my soul. $300,000 was a high price, but my peace of mind is priceless. My relationship with my son is priceless. My self-esteem is priceless. And finally, after 71 years of existing for others, I learned to exist for me. That is my story. The story of how I paid $300,000 for a wedding. How I was erased from the guest list. How I canceled everything. And how that decision saved my life. Not in the dramatic sense, but in the deepest sense. It saved me from a life of silent humiliations, from being invisible in my own family, from losing my identity to please others. It saved me from myself. And if I could go back, if I could change something, if I could not cancel that wedding, I wouldn't do it. Because that cancellation was the beginning of my true life. The life where Margaret is not just someone's mother, or someone's mother-in-law, or someone's wallet. The life where Margaret is simply Margaret, a complete woman, valuable, sufficient. And that, my dears, is all I ever needed to be. If you ever find yourself in a similar situation, if you ever feel like you are giving everything and receiving nothing, if you are ever treated as if you were invisible, remember my story. Remember that you have the power to say no, to set boundaries, to choose yourself. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much you have invested. It doesn't matter how much it hurts. Your dignity is worth more than any relationship, any wedding, anything. Choose your peace. Always choose your peace. And if my story resonated with you, if you ever lived something like this, if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it, because together we are stronger, and no woman should feel invisible in her own life. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, it is never too late to recover yourself. Never.